Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Deborah Jenkins, host of Black Talk Platform, coming to you tonight, 7 p.m., July 28th. And I am excited about this particular interview because I have with me tonight Mr. Eric Hamilton. He is the founder of Africa 2063. It is a fledgling Facebook group of which I am a member because of his invitation. And it's just grown so much so quickly. We've just come out of what has been termed the year of the return. Ghana welcomed people who had been here, Black people from the United States and throughout, I suppose, but definitely the United States. Black Americans went over to Africa on invitation by the Ghanaian government. Come on back home. There are other Black countries on the continent of Africa who are doing the very same thing. And so I believe he's on the precipice of something that is exciting for all of us, and he's trying to organize us around different interests for us to return or to go to start businesses. I'm just happy to have him with us tonight. I'm going to invite him on in. Eric Hamilton, welcome to Black Talk Platform.
Dr. Jenkins, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Look, everybody who's watching, understand that he has a team of people. And the most important team, you can hear them in the background. And I'm so happy to have them here with us tonight because he's been working hard with them for the last few months. And I want to ask Mr. Hamilton, tell us a little bit about yourself. You were a New Yorker when we first connected on Facebook some years ago. Am I correct in saying that?
I think I may have lost you there for a moment.
Oh, yes. I asked you, weren't you formerly a New Yorker? You lived in New York.
Yes.
Yes. And now tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and what brought you to found Africa 2063.
Sure. So I'm recently relocated back in 2018 to Raleigh, North Carolina area from New York City. I was in the New York City area and in Brooklyn for the past 10 years, from 2008 to 2018. And my background is in technology. I have a computer science degree. I worked for companies like Google and Yahoo and tons of other technology companies. And, just fast forwarding to 2020, thinking about Africa 2063, you think about all the things that are going on in our country, right? You think about who's running our country, and you think about some of the things that are happening to us as Black Americans. Thousands of Black Americans that have been facing, undue, basically, an unjust society, right? We've been here for a very long time. And one thing I like to say is I love being a Black American. I do. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I love Detroit. I love being a Black man. I love being a Black American. But America really doesn't really care for us. I mean, it's just not just, look at what's happening, right? Look at how the police treat us, right? So with that being said, I was thinking about, I'm 15 years away from retiring. What are some of my options as far as retiring on the continent of Africa? So I asked on Facebook, just, hey, are there groups and organizations that can help with the planning of that? And to my surprise, there were none. So I started the group, Africa 2063. And a lot of people will ask, well, what does that 2063 mean? I want to go to Africa next year. Why are you going to wait 43 years? Well, the number, the year 2063 is borrowed from the African Union's Agenda 2063, which is the African Union's blueprint to build Africa as a continent into a world superpower from a technology.
Bear with us.
to stop the violence as far as, neighboring beefing and squash all that. So Africa Agenda 2063 is that long-term plan, right? So again, Africa 2063, the name was borrowed from that name. And then one last thing, and I'm going to be quiet. I told my friend who is from Detroit, who does a lot of business in Ghana, about the plan of me looking to retire on the continent in 15 years. And what he said was, Eric, that's cool, but why don't you start and look to start a business now that will be waiting for you when you retire in 15 years. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then so the group is helping me do that. And I'm encouraging other people to do that. As I talk to Africans, folks in Uganda, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, the Democratic Republic of Congo, I've talked to tons of folks in the last 3 weeks this organization has been in existence. One thing that they've said across the board, it's a consistent message, is there are no jobs waiting for us, but there are plenty of opportunities for entrepreneurs. So we as African Americans must have an entrepreneurial mindset. There's a lot of things that you've learned in your lifetime that are applicable to building a business in Africa. So that's what we're planning to do.
Okay.
And that is kind of in a nutshell, what Africa 2063 is all about.
I love it. I love it. I love what your friend told you. Start planning now. I was just talking to my son before we went live, and I said, 2063, do you know how old I'll be? And he didn't want to think about it, but it's going to be pretty old.
Yeah, I'm going to be 94. I'm going to be 94. So
we're going to be in the same neighborhood, right?
Right.
So, but it's okay, because we have to be planners. And I think one of the things that we don't often do is plan properly. So you're talking about retiring in 15 years. I want to retire a little before that. I mean, all the stuff I do, I really want to pass the torch to someone else who can do it, so that I can just live those last years doing something spectacular. And Africa is definitely on my radar. So I love the candor that they're all speaking to you with. Don't come over here expecting jobs, but there are opportunities to build. And I think that's so important. We are such resilient people and resourceful people, Blacks in the diaspora, but here in the United States in particular. I recall you built an app some years ago, and you've loaded it to some of the bigs. I watched the people I follow, though I don't always know everyone personally. I sort of just watch journeys, and you've been doing this for quite some time. So you're on the precipice of something really big if we follow. So tell me about how quickly this group has grown, because that indicates to me that there's a lot of interest out here.
Absolutely. So again, yeah, we started out with, me wanting to know those answers of those questions. And I post those questions on Facebook, and I didn't really get there are no organizations that are doing this, like a business or of sorts. So I started the group, Africa 2063. It just hit me one day, said, this is start a Facebook group, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of interest. And again, that was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And then, we hit, really quickly, 300 people. Okay, that's cool. 300 to 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000. We're over actually 2,100. We're approaching 2,200 today, people who have joined. And a lot of people who have joined are, people like us who are in the States who are looking to potentially start a business and retire. But then a lot of people who are already there, who are kind of being our kind of eyes and ears on the ground. There are at least a dozen or so out of the 2,000, there are at least 20 people, there are probably more, there are more joining every day, who are actually have lived on the continent for a decade or so, right? So they're more or less mentors, helping us understand the local customs, because everything is different. Every country, has a bit of a subculture. So helping us understand the norms and customs of each country, the pros and cons of settling in each. So, but yeah, in the last 3 weeks, we went from 0 to over 2,000 relatively quickly.
That's incredible. Now, I've seen some really great mentoring type posts in the group. One of my former students, hopefully he's watching, but he's pretty active in the group. Norman Martin, he said he would share his experience from having visited, I think a couple of years ago, which are things that we all need to experience. We need to get a sense of how American Blacks are visiting different countries in Africa and how they are feeling about returning. So I believe I've seen about passports, like you said, the culture, because just because we all may have the same skin, we clearly don't have the same traditions and culture. And I think it's important for us to not go over there with that American attitude of we're here now, everybody else moves aside, but to really go over there, embrace the culture, and get to know the culture as it is, and find out how we can support the culture while not losing ourselves. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the African Americans that I've talked to who are who live there, and the Africans who are there, and then I know some folks who are Africans who are here. One thing that we have to lead with is a sense of humility, right? We cannot, as you stated, go over with this kind of American arrogance, right? Because then at that point, we're no different than the oppressors here that are acting some kind of way to us here, right? So we've got to have a different mentality, right? Where we're going as I wouldn't even say as equals. I'm taking a more of a humble approach when we talk to some of the folks we're talking to. In fact, we've got a meeting that's planned for next week with one of the ministers, you have Minister of Economics, you have Minister of Interior Affairs, all these different ministers. We have a meeting with one, and these, think of them as like the cabinet that reports to the president of the country. Well, one of our members who is Nigerian born, but grew up here, went to law school in Maryland, but now she's an immigration attorney back in Lagos, Nigeria. Her father, who was born and raised, has government connections, hooked us up because he believes in what we're doing also. So we've got these meetings set up, but I had to be schooled on how to approach these meetings, right? How the protocol, because there's a lot of, Nigeria was once a British colony, so there's a lot of British traditions. So as informal as we are in this conversation, that wouldn't fly with a conversation with a Nigerian minister. It's got to be a different flavor. It's a different set of protocols. So just getting schooled on that, and being a student of protocol is a journey for me, and I'm still working on that. But it's something that that's a part of the plan. So saying all that to say that there's a lot of humility that has to be in place. We cannot come with this superiority complex like we're Americans and we know better, and they don't. We're coming as equals. We're coming to, but it's more important again. We're coming with opportunities. And again, I have a job, or not a job, but a business opportunity that I'm putting together as we speak, and it's actually going way better than I thought. I mean, again, we're only like 3 weeks into Africa 2063. I'm literally 4 days into this business venture. It's a technology business venture where I train folks in Ghana, Uganda, and Kenya on technology, but allow them to make American salaries working remotely in their home country, but supporting enterprise level clients here in the United States. So you imagine, computer system support, networks, and things like that. You imagine, not that these are clients, but you imagine a client could be something like a Verizon or United Healthcare or one of those types of enterprise corporate clients. The thing is those jobs are available to anybody in the world. The problem is these companies are having a hard time filling those jobs because those jobs only pay about $25,000 a year. And someone with a computer science degree, we ain't waiting for no 25 G's, right? It's not going down like that. But some of these other countries, $25,000 is a lot of money. Sure. So what we're doing is this business that I set up, it's called 2063 Solutions. And what we're doing is we're training some of the folks who already have the technical knowledge, but training them on how to support enterprise level clients here in the United States, so they can go from making whatever they're making to about $25,000. And by the way, in the country of Nigeria, or was it Ghana? I can't remember which two. I'm getting them confused. But $25,000 is about twice what a doctor makes, right? So your average doctor in the country of, I believe it's Ghana, makes about $11,000 per year. And so we're going to be changing a lot of lives and putting a lot of money in a lot of people's pockets. So that's how I'm coming with, hey, I'm coming to bring wealth. I'm coming to bring jobs. I'm just not coming for one, just to retire and spend my 401k in your country, nor am I coming with this American arrogance like I know everything. No, I'm coming from a humble perspective. Hey, my people were snatched up 400 years ago. I'm returning very humble. I'm hopeful I won't break down and cry when I actually get there, right? Because it's going to be a lot of emotions, right? Emotions meaning I'm very passionate about helping those people on the continent. I'm very passionate about returning to the place of my origin. But at the same time, I'm a Black American. You know, I love everything. I love football. I love Michigan State University. I love the NFL. I'm a Black man that loves being a Black American, but how does America feel about me? So I have mixed emotions about that. So it's gonna be a lot of things going on in my head once I make that transition, but it's all gonna be good, especially considering the fact that I'm gonna be bringing opportunities and wealth generation for people who look like me, who are not gonna judge me for all this melanin that we both got, all that. It's not gonna be a deterrent. So I'm looking forward to all the opportunities and for us to change some lives over on the continent of
I tell you, I think your 2063 solutions business to help our brothers and sisters in those countries is excellent. And I think for the audience, listen, we all need to think what Eric is telling us he's been thinking. What can we add to the countries? We don't want to just go over there and take. They're going to see through that just like we see through it. Okay.
Yes.
So let's go over there with perhaps some of the expertise that we currently have and the opportunities and resources that we have and build alongside them. They've been waiting for us. This is what they say. Everyone that I know who's gone to Africa, to one of the Black countries, and I keep making that distinction because people forget that Africa is not one big country. There are 54 different countries on one continent. But we're talking right now, Eric mentioned Nigeria, Uganda, the Republic of Congo, Ghana, and several others. These are the ones he's currently working with. But because the group has grown so fast, people will come from all throughout the other Black countries over there. And I just think your business is awesome, awesome, awesome. And it is going to provide a lot of wealth attainment for some of the people on the continent, in the countries, but also it gives us a sense of a light bulb going off, which brings me to my next question for you. This grew so quickly. I guess then between the first and the second week, you put out a call. You sent out a call for experts in various different areas to lead subgroups within Africa 2063. Listen, people, that only happens when the vision is large and one person realizes that they don't have all the knowledge, but needs to build with others having similar or different knowledge even to make this a project that really will work. Tell us about that, because I saw where you got a lot of response right away. How's that going? We have a slight delay. Eric?
Yes, so you're breaking up. You were asking about the subgroups. So yes, so we've got tons of different sub categories, right? So from technology, from strategic planning, from business development, from marketing, agriculture and natural resources. And I'm missing a bunch. There's a bunch. Legal, and we've got experts in all those areas because I don't know anything about a lot of stuff, right? Technology is my thing, but and also I have a different person leading the technology group who actually has more technology experience than me. So, but it's been great. We've got a real estate group, right? So the gentleman, I'm going to call my man out, Darius Ross, who's leading the real estate group. He's got a background and a huge background in real estate and capital markets, been doing business on the continent of Africa for a number of years. And he is the one who actually sat me down to help me understand the protocol which must occur when you're speaking with Nigerian government officials, right? I'm like, really? This is how it goes down? I had no idea. So again, the mission, the motivation rather behind me setting up the subgroups was mainly because I don't know everything, and I'm humble enough to recognize that there are people who are more adept at certain topics. And we basically have folks leading those subgroups and running with it. So we're coming up with a plan for all the things that I mentioned, right? From real estate to agriculture to all those. I don't know anything about agriculture. I like to eat. I like salads. That's all about as much as I know about agriculture. So we have experts in those areas that are going to come up with a plan for Africa 2063. But really the overarching goal is for people to use their expertise to start a business, because jobs are not going to be waiting for us, but there are tons of opportunities. So figuring out how those subgroups can fuel that goal of people starting businesses with the net benefit to benefit those Africans and those African nations and the people in those nations.
That's incredible. I think it's really important. One word I want to hone in on is you said you're humble and you have a lot of humility. Listen, for anyone out there trying to start something, humility is a part of leadership. Mr. Hamilton realized that this is even bigger. This goal is even bigger than his family. This is not just about the Hamilton. It's about everybody who would love to go to one of the countries in Africa, retire, or start a business, just support or visit even. But you have to know certain things. I have to know certain things. The laws, we can't just go over there. And you see so many people getting in trouble when they travel to Europe in particular, or even some of the Asian countries. Americans get arrested for doing things that over here they may not get arrested for. So the legal part is a very important part. I would love, and I'm sure, and I've seen the post in the group, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the passports, the medicals, all of that. I can foresee, and I'm sure you and the other leaders are planning this at a certain point, a conference to educate us all about what the do's and the don'ts are. Certainly, I'm going to try to follow Mr. Ross if he's heading up the real estate portion, because ownership over there will be very critical to a relocation plan for any of us. I believe, and I think
Absolutely.
that we need to expose ourselves to those groups that are not just something that we resonate with, but the things that we actually really need in order to make it work. So I wanted to speak a little bit about a group I knew that was working, went to Uganda, and Uganda is probably one of the more tough countries to work with, but I'm glad that you are. But just like you were saying, they had to stand, they had to sit, and things that we're not accustomed to. Sometimes we go into meetings even, and we sit before the person who's hosting the meeting. That doesn't work over there, and it doesn't work in many places over there. So I'm really glad we're talking about this forum, because we have this attitude sometimes. Let me ask you, in terms of the plan, and even if you've had a conversation with your friend who's been doing business over there for a while, how has COVID-19 affected plans to explore relocation or anything like that on the ground?
I tell you what, if COVID done jacked up every doggone thing, because if it were not for COVID, I would be there now. Again, the group is only 3 weeks old, but literally I would definitely be on the ground. I've actually had conversations with, if you're familiar with the concept of tech hubs, right? So tech hubs are like co-working spaces / accelerators that allow for people who are entrepreneurs to have a co-working space, a space to work and a space to collaborate with like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So there are literally 600 tech hubs throughout the 54 nations in Africa. So I've spoken to a few of the heads of those tech hubs about what I'm planning with the training of candidates and job placement. And one of the things they all say is, when you come in, I'm like, what's up? COVID got all messed up, because I would definitely be on the plane, setting up those meetings, setting up those relationships. So as it stands, we're not planning anything probably realistically for 18 months, almost 2 years out. We were originally looking at, I was talking to some travel folks about getting an organized group for summer of 2021, but it's still, we don't know, right? We don't know if there's going to be travel restrictions against Americans going to the continent, right? Because the way the things that are happening here and how everybody getting all sick and people don't want to wear masks,
Right.
I wouldn't want to have Americans in my country either, right? As far as, us not locking it down with these masks and whatnot. So yeah, COVID is really slowing things down. But it's okay, because probably summer of 2022, we'll be in a position to make some things happen and travel. So until then, we're just using Zoom and WebEx and all these other tools to keep the lines of communication open until we can travel.
And to plan. I think we can overstate the importance of planning, because even though 2022 is quite a ways away, it really isn't. It really isn't, because, like you said, COVID has shut everything down. And before you know it, I mean, the end of this week will be August, and so we're really closer to 2021 than we are to 2020 at this point, because we've crossed the halfway mark. But we should be planning. We should be refining the things that we're doing over here, because I believe that there will be definite need for many of the various businesses that we have over here, and also to bring enterprise there so that they can also benefit from what we bring. I do have another question. So what is next? We're sort of early. What's next, and how can platforms such as the Black Talk platform and others be an asset to what you're building through your platform, Africa 2063? Because
Yeah.
I
So
believe in collective economics.
sure. So what's next is we're going to be working with the country of Nigeria and Ghana. Ghana already has the right to abode, right? Where they're they had the 2019 was the year of the return, and then 2020 on is the continuing I forget what the name of it, but it's continuing the return. So they have a defined path to citizenship if that's something that folks want to do, right? So what we're going to be doing is the path is a little bit foggy. It's not like you can go Google it, but what we're going to be doing is working with the government in Ghana to come up with a definitive plan, and a few members we're going to go through the process. We're going to go over there and go through the process of how to get a passport and citizenship from Ghana. So that's going to be a definitive plan that says, okay, we're going to do step from A to Z. This is what you need to do. You need to basically submit this, your driver's license, blah, blah, blah. And, you just show up and get fingerprinted. Whatever the process is, we're going to have it documented. Nigeria does not have a process yet. But that's one of the things we're going to be working with them on, is because a lot of folks of Nigerian descent, based on DNA tests, are interested in Nigerian citizenship, who are members of Africa 2063. So we've expressed that to our attorney, who is a member, who is of a Nigerian descent, but American educated, University of Maryland, who is immigration attorney. So again, we're going to be working with the government to come up with a plan. They're actually going to be possibly, we're so early in the game, but actually writing laws based on what we're trying to do. But the end game is for us to, get citizenship, but then come with jobs, right? Come with our knowledge and expertise, humbly come with our jobs and expertise. So to answer your question, the next steps are to come up with definitive steps to get citizenship. It could be that folks out there may never want to relocate to the continent of Africa, but it's always good to have that ace in your back pocket. have that Nigerian passport. You need to rock that bad boy out, and some pop off. You need to bust up out. Excuse my slang.
I got you.
Some up there pop off, and you need to just bust up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And you never know. So it's just a little bit of a it's like insurance safety net, whatever you want to call it, to have that. You know, I just posted something where Tom Hanks, the actor, and his wife just got Greek citizenship and have Greek passports, and I applaud that. I'm like, bet, go ahead, Tom Hanks, get your passport on, bro. For those who don't know, Tom Hanks, Caucasian, he's been an actor. For those who don't know who he is, most probably do. But what I was saying though is that post, when I posted it, I was like, you know what? He can go ahead and get his Greek citizenship. I think his wife is Greek. We can do the same for various African nations also. There's nothing wrong with identifying where you came from and wanting to be affiliated with that home country from a citizenship perspective. There's really nothing wrong with that. So those are some of the things that we're planning. Again, it's really the path to citizenship, starting with Ghana, or really Nigeria and Ghana simultaneously. And then we're going to work to identify opportunities to do entrepreneurial mindset and figure out how we can start jobs and start businesses and create jobs on the continent.
I think that's incredible. I'm excited. Let me go to my Facebook watch party because I see a couple of questions there, and I'm gonna have Eric answer them for you. A friend of mine, Leah Richardson, asked, will the youth also be able to participate? Now, I believe that is with your 2063 solutions. I'm not positive when she asked this question, but it sounds about what she might have been talking about. Can you let us know if youth will be able to participate in Africa 2063, or specifically with your 2063 solutions? Eric?
Yeah, so it looks like I can hear you. So yeah, the question was, will youth be able to participate in the 2063 solutions? So yes, but primarily we're targeting, so age really doesn't matter as long as they're of working age, so meaning 18 and up, with the equivalent of a high school diploma or equivalent. But primarily we're targeting Africans on the continent of Africa who currently reside. So if you are Nigerian descent, but you happen to live in Baltimore, we're not going to be targeting you, right? We really want the cash flow to benefit the countries in which we're targeting. Because if we have a person of African descent a Nigerian who happens to live in Baltimore, Baltimore is going to be benefiting from you spending money to go out to Whole Foods and do your thing and taxes and that sort of thing. So what we're trying to do is our future homes, which is going to be in sub-Saharan Africa, we want that to be the beneficiary of any type of business. So to answer your question, yes, youth are eligible, but for 2063 solutions, we're targeting people in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's the only caveat there.
That makes perfect sense. Another friend of mine, Bingus, he was speaking about the responding to my question about COVID, and he made a definitive statement that the continent has managed the pandemic crisis so far so good. In fact, I actually looked up Nigeria's handling of the case of COVID today, and they've done an excellent job. They have less than 40,000. I think it's closer to 31,000 cases. 18,000 have recovered, and less than 1,000 have succumbed to COVID. So they are doing an excellent job, and I can see them not really wanting us to come over there messing things up for them. They do a great job.
And that's something that they don't talk a lot about, because it's people that look like us who are actually doing it right. The African countries have probably better knowledge and better plans to handle infectious diseases. You think about Ebola, you think about, malaria isn't a quote unquote infectious disease, but it is a disease, passed by mosquitoes. So various African countries have a strong history of handling epidemics and disease prevention. This whole contact tracing. I was reading about how it was Rwanda, I believe, of how they do testing, right? So what they'll do is they'll take 100 people's, or maybe not 100, I think it's like 25 people's blood samples, and they'll put them all together and then just do that one test. And then if it comes back negative, everybody in that group of 25, they're clear. And they'll do the same thing for another. But then they said, okay, well, you know what? This sample has been tainted. So one of those 25 has tested positive for corona. Then they'll go and individually test these 25. So what it does is it allows you to test thousands and thousands of people because you're doing that pool testing. They ain't doing that here. I mean, so it's like, it's that American arrogance, right? You think about who's leading this country, who thinks he knows everything. I'm not going to mention his name because it's not worth mentioning. Right. But you got people who report to him and people who surround him who think they know everything. They refer to these countries, our countries of origin with, I'm not going to say the name, but you know what I'm saying? Begin with the S.
Remember.
Blank hole countries, right? But you know what? These blank hole countries doing it right? So maybe you can learn something from these S-hole countries. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of arrogance going on here. That stuff is. So what I'm saying is we need to praise these countries. They're doing it right. And it's like they're not getting their due praise. All you want to hear is all the misery and how poor people, the lies and rumors of how the first civilizations on this planet were on the continent of Africa. Where other folks were freezing in caves, we had thriving civilizations. They don't teach that in school. You got to get out and read that for yourself. So it's all this madness. Oh, they're backwards. They're this. They're that. Oh, they're disease ridden. Well, who's disease ridden now? Who got a pandemic that's out of control now? Who got approaching 200,000 deaths?
Right.
The most advanced country on the earth, on this planet, is the one with the most problems. And these S-hole countries are doing it right. So you tell me who's backwards? Who backwards now? You know what I'm saying? It's madness. It's madness. And then they wonder, here's another thing. You think about 400, 300, 400 years of slavery, 50 years of Jim Crow, post-civil rights, you got redlining, police brutality, and all during this time, what they're telling us, go back to Africa. The white supremacists telling us to go back to Africa. You know what, homeboy? I'm going to take you up on your advice. I'm going to go back to a place where they know how to handle diseases, and I'm not treated some kind of way. How about that? You know what I'm saying? All this madness going on. Time to take all that stuff, all what we learned as the 400 plus years of dealing with what we deal with, and we still able to come up and rise up and do the things that we've done to help build this country, and we still get treated the way we do. And then you say, go back to some place. You know what, homeboy? I'm taking you up on that advice. Deuces on this. How about that? You know what I'm saying? So excuse me for getting a little bit animated, but think about the mistakes that this country has made and the positions they put us as Black Americans in. I'm not trying not to be angry because I do love being a Black American, but I don't like the way I'm treated. Right. So maybe I need to go someplace where I'm treated with at least a little bit more respect than what I'm getting here. Yeah. So, excuse me, I went off on a big tangent. That question was about COVID.
No. Those who've been watching my show for the last few months, they know that I'm usually in your position of animation, and so I welcome it because I can be calm tonight because you saying everything I say or have been saying. When I think about the fact that Africa, the Black nations in Africa in particular, are handling this COVID so well, why did they have to be tested with a vaccine first? But that's a whole nother story. You would think the country that has more than how many do we have now? 4 million people infected. Like you said, almost over 150 people, 50,000 people. Why not here? Why not guinea pig over here? Even though we know that today they started a small study with 30,000 people, but they always want a guinea pig Black people. But that's a whole nother subject. Let me go back to something my friend Bingas also said when we were talking about the year of the return in Ghana and we didn't know exactly what the program is called for Nigeria, he put in here that it's called the Joy of the Return, the Joy of Return. So that's Nigeria's equivalent of the Year of the Return that Ghana did last year. So
nice.
I'm glad that you're also working with it, because there will be some joy in the return. Another friend asked, so do laws have to be passed here? This is a good one. Allowing dual citizenship. That's the piece we want to know about, Eric.
You know what? And that I don't have an answer for, but that's one that, you know what, I'm going to ask our attorney, who is an immigration attorney in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm going to ask her that question around dual citizenship, and then I'm going to post the answer into Africa 2063 on our wall. So that I don't know. The long and short of that answer is I don't know. So,
okay, well, that is an invitation to Leslie, Leah, Bingus, all of you to join the group. Is it still private, Eric?
It is a private group, but just hit the button to join and just answer little questions, and they can mention you. They can mention Dr. Jenkins, and I'm like, that's a fast yes.
Okay,
mention Dr. Jenkins, yeah.
Patience tonight, because he's going to follow up on your question, Leslie. Leah followed up with hers about, well, actually, she was just speaking directly to you, hearing your passion. She says you will be successful. Keep your passion, energy, and enthusiasm alive. I'm agreeing with you, Leah. Absolutely.
Thank you, Leah. Much love. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And being angry, she says being angry is a driving force. I'm so glad, because I misread it at first, Leah. I thought it said a dividing force. It's not. It gets us moving. It makes us stop resting on our laurels. You know, this is a time that is critical for Black people to have a sense of self-worth. If our home continent and the countries there are inviting us to be a part of what they're trying to do by 2063, we should take them up on it. We don't need to beg anybody to accept us when we have a family over there that is welcoming us home. And so I so totally agree with you. Bingus says you are right on the money. So they're loving what you're saying here, Eric. And I'm just so happy to be connected to you in this way, so that I can help in any way possible to help the group continue to grow, and for Africa's 2063 to reach its goals, and for us as individuals. I'm really proud of what you're doing. I'm really proud of it.
You know, and it's platforms like this allow us to get the word out, to get more people interested. You know, even if it's something that, hey, I might be a young person, maybe I'm 18 years old, I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, you know what? Hey, you know, be a part of the group, learn a little bit. Maybe you want to take a vacation to the continent, and maybe by that time you take a vacation in a few years, there's thousands of us over there. Then you probably want to come holler at me, right? Because I'm gonna know some people, and you know, so it's still a good group to be a part of if you still maybe not convinced that you need to relocate, but maybe you support the goals, which is, you know, empowering a whole continent of folks who look like us. Then, you know, be a part of the group, and I'm sure there's something that you could, you know, everybody has something that they can add, even if they're not necessarily trying to relocate to the continent.
Oh, okay. Now, Bingus, you have to join this group, because you're dropping a lot of knowledge here that I'm unaware of. I'm going to update you, Eric, as to what he said. He says once you get a Nigerian or Ghanaian citizenship, you are allowed into all West African countries with no visa hassle. That's really a good thing to know. That's really a good thing to know.
I heard.
Go on, Eric. Go on.
I heard there was some type of kind of reciprocity with some of the West African nations, but I didn't know the specifics. But that's good to know. See, again, I'm learning.
Look, I'm going to get him in this group if I haven't invited him as yet. He's a really good friend, and he's just a wealth of knowledge. Leah, yes, I'm glad you're enjoying the show with Eric. And Eric, we're going to have you back. We still have a few minutes if you all have more questions, but I'm going to have you back because I want Black Talk Platform to be someplace you feel comfortable coming, even as you set milestones. So you're in the middle of this planning for 2063 solutions. When you're 3 to 6 months out and you want to talk directly about that, come on back. Just hit me in the inbox, because we have to help each other and we want to build together. Let me see. Okay. He's still giving us knowledge. He's gonna have to put in the group, Eric. He said it's a
He's got
part
to
of
come on join today, right now.
yeah, it's called he said it's a part of the ECOWAS. Your legal person probably knows about that. Um,
Yes.
oh, here's a challenge question for you, Eric. Leah wants to know, will you be writing a book?
I've written a few books, technology books. You know what? Anything's possible. I thought I was done writing books, but who knows? There may be a book in this later. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I love your question, Leah, because I think that we have to start writing those visions and making them plain so that a hero might pick it up and run with it. That's Habakkuk, right? For those Bible believers out there like I am, you gotta immortalize this work that you're doing. This is not just a simple Facebook group. This is a build. This is something spectacular. And if you don't want to write it all yourself, let your subgroup people write their sections. But I think the blueprint, Eric, is going to be helpful and useful to those who come behind us. I think that's a great suggestion,
Definitely, it is.
Richardson. Thank you. He says that stands for Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS. I'm going to put it here in the chat, but hopefully by the end of this evening, he will be, and all of these viewers here will become a part of the group, Eric. Eric, tell me something about your coworkers. I've been enjoying you talking about your coworkers, and I would love to share some of the experiences you've had with your coworkers during these months.
So
If you
the
don't mind
coworkers that Dr. Jenkins is referring to are my two daughters. I have a 2-year-old and I'm just a 4-year-old. And during of course, the pandemic, they can't go to school, so they've been here for the past 4 months. So they tried to, being here during the pandemic for the past 4 months, they try to stay out of daddy's way and not bum rush too many business calls. They're doing great because they're watching a little something something. So they're preoccupied. But it's been great having them around. It's kind of it's taught me to focus and concentrate because I hear screaming and crying, and I'm giving a presentation or on a call like this. It causes you to concentrate and makes you want to, like, are you serious? But it's what it is. It's about, I'm sure that I'm not the first father that actually kind of like, okay, just thinking like, okay, this child is driving me crazy, but it's been a blessing. They're both blessings. So, but yeah, it's been tough having them here every day, all day, every day. One thinking about who to play clown, right, and wanting to play and do things when daddy got to work. So it's fun.
I appreciate you sharing that with us because I've actually enjoyed your post about them. They are running. Listen, y'all, they're really running things. When he posts, I think that it's the time when dad is taking a break. But the reason why I wanted you to take time and share that with us is because it is so important this time that I believe we've been given by the Most High to be closer to our families and for them to have their dad around as much as you are being able to be around them. I think it's something that they'll never forget. And I think it's something that you will always treasure. So big ups to you for being that father who's leaning in to the women in your life. And he's married, ladies. So he's not out on the block. He's living a wonderful life with his beautiful wife and those two beautiful daughters. And they're just doing it. And I'm just so happy to have you as a guest tonight. I'm going to wrap it up if I don't see any other questions. If no one else has any other questions for you, I'd love for you to give us some closing words before I just tell people about our next show. I've really enjoyed this interview and your excitement, your energy, and what's to come next for Africa 2063. The floor is yours.
I think I missed your last few seconds, but could you maybe repeat for me? You're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem. I said if there were no other questions, and for you, or comments, which I don't see. Leslie Peterson said, indeed, your daughters will as I'll always be daddy's girls because they are enjoying this special time with you. It's invaluable, definitely. So I said I'd welcome you back anytime, but I would welcome you now to wrap up with some closing words for us and the group in terms of your vision before I close out the show.
Yeah. So first of all, Dr. Jenkins, thank you for having me. First and foremost, this is great. It's platforms like this that allow us to spread the word for like-minded folks who kind of believe in their vision of empowering relocation and building businesses on the continent of Africa. As a final, I would invite all of your listeners and watchers who are like-minded and who believe that there's a lot of opportunities and on the continent of Africa and believe in the vision to build businesses and relocate and to empower Africa to join our group. And even if you don't join the group, even if you don't plan on it, I would still love to hear from you still. Send me a friend request. I just thank you for allowing me this platform to talk about what we're passionate about. And again, I invite all of your listeners and followers to join us and to support what we're trying to do.
Yes. I truly hope they will. And the few who I call by name tonight because they've asked questions or they've had comments, these are really dynamic people. Some have visited Africa. Bingus is from Africa. I'm not sure if it's Nigeria or not. But their expertise will definitely be an asset in Africa 2063. I have one more comment before we close out. Alicia Bowen says, very good talk. Thank you for the invite. My uncle has been going to Ghana for the last 20 plus years, at least twice a year. And he says he loves it there. And so that makes me want to go too. That makes me want to go too. And we're going to stay connected. For me to push out your messaging when you're trying to do something new, that's what we are supposed to do with one another. And so I'm so happy for the work you're doing, and any way I can add to it. Well, right now I'm just like listening and soaking up all the knowledge in the group. But whatever I can do to help push out the message of Africa 2063, I'm happy to do it because it's very easy to share when you have been exposed to really good stuff. So Eric, thank you so much for being with me this evening. Please don't leave before I sort of tell people what's coming up next. So next week, everyone, thank you for joining me and Mr. Eric Hamilton, founder of Africa 2063 tonight. This has been a really great conversation. Retiring, starting a business, relocating to Africa. Mr. Hamilton and his group leaders, co-leaders, are preparing a roadmap for all of us so that we won't have to be all over the place figuring out what we need to do. And I'm really very grateful to him for that, because sometimes when you're thinking of making a major change, you really don't know where to start. What this group is trying to give us direction. And so I encourage everyone, join Africa 2063 if you are serious about building as the like-minded people who are in that group are trying to do, along with Mr. Hamilton. We don't want people who just there to lurk around. We want people who can really bring value to the group. And I believe most of my viewers are those people. So I will put the invitation out to you all tonight. I've tagged Mr. Hamilton in many of my posts about our show tonight. So you will have an opportunity to become a part of this dynamic group that's helping us make decisions about our future. And hopefully we'll have a dual citizenship answer really soon in the group, because that is important. What's coming up for Black Talk Platform? Next Tuesday, I'm back here with a frequent co-host, Pastor Anthony Davis of the Harvest Restoration Ministries. We're actually going to go back to faith, because many of you know how fiery I can get in this justice battle. It's a battle, y'all. I thank God for the words of Congressman John Lewis, who says, don't be afraid to create or start or get involved in good trouble. Because, see, I know a lot of people don't like to see me coming because I bring what's considered good trouble. And that's okay. But sometimes I have to sort of decompress from that. And so Pastor Davis and I are going to be talking about, as leaders, how do we balance not always being at 100 like I often am, and still being able to show some compassion around other issues. I do that as well, but I really do stay high up there with my angst, with all that's going on in this country, with all that's going on in New York City. It is a lot. And how do we get back and stay within the word of God in the way that he wants us to do it while still speaking truth to power? So we're going to have that conversation next week. It's going to be more of a biblical conversation because sometimes we need to woosah. And I've been feeling that need lately. So please consider joining me and Pastor Davis next Tuesday. I believe that's August 3rd or August 4th. I will put the notice out there. August 4th at 7 p.m. right here, Black Talk platform. Again, Eric Hamilton, thank you so much for your vision and sharing with us tonight. Good night. Be safe. God bless you all. Peace.